Are you telling me these suckers are nuclear? Starting off with a Back to the Future quote, and I'm shocked they have this road so close to the power plant. There are a lot of power plants along the Ohio River, including those in the state of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. Well, wow, this is really close to those reactors. Anyway, this video will focus on the state of West Virginia as I follow the Ohio River. I'm working my way to the northernmost tip of West Virginia. I came from Pennsylvania, and this road, where you can see the difference in the asphalt, is where the state of Ohio begins. And over here is an obelisk, which is as close as you can get to being a tri-point, where the three states of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia meet. The obelisk marks the point of beginning. This marker notes in 1785 the survey was completed to determine where the border between Pennsylvania and Virginia should go. They determined the border should start at a point of 1,112 feet south of the obelisk, which is in the middle of the Ohio River, where today Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia meet. I'm standing in Pennsylvania, which is one of the original 13 colonies that formed the United States. You can see Pennsylvania is stamped on the side of the obelisk toward its bottom. And now I'm standing in Ohio. Ohio was not admitted as a state until 1803, so at the time the border was marked, this area was known as the Northwest Territory. The last of the three states at the time of the border establishment was Virginia. It was not West Virginia until 1863, about halfway through the American Civil War, when West Virginia split from Virginia and departed from the Confederacy. This marker basically repeats the other marker we saw on the Pennsylvania side, but the Ohio marker mentions the way they did the land survey in 1785 as the prototype for surveys in most of the western U.S. and the other countries around the world. This section of Ohio began what was called the Seven Ranges. This section of Ohio was acquired as part of the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which ended the American Revolutionary War. It was 42 square miles in size and was broken up into 7 ranges in roughly a checkerboard pattern. I had to travel just a little bit into Ohio, which is that way, and then cross the river to West Virginia.
Hey guys, it's Emily. Welcome everyone! On this video, I'll visit numerous locations in West Virginia along the Ohio River. This video is going to be a little different. I encountered some technical problems along the way, which I'll explain later on. I'll be seeing some roadside attractions and visit one of the oldest suspension bridges in the world. Some say the bridge is haunted. I think they're right, as you'll see. It's gonna be an interesting video. Let's go!
It's a very beautiful morning as I arrive in West Virginia. My first stop is in the town of Chester, where I see what is described as the world's largest teapot. It definitely is a large teapot. It looks like it functioned as a concession stand at one time. There's a small version of the teapot right there, with the same white and red color scheme. The big teapot is 14 feet tall and 44 feet wide. This was built as a large wooden barrel in 1938 by William Babe Devon.
I think I'm gonna need some more tea bags.
At first it was used as a giant keg to advertise Hires root beer. The keg was eventually converted into a teapot by surrounding it with tin siding, and then the spout and handle were added, and finally a glass bowl was used for the knob. The teapot was then used in front of Devon's pottery store to sell concessions and souvenirs. After several owners, the Teapot was abandoned in 1980 and was nearly demolished when the land the Teapot sat on was sold to a telephone company in 1984. However, in 1987, the telephone company sold the Teapot to the city of Chester with the intent of having it restored. But it wasn't until 3 years later, when everything finally came together, when the city funded the renovation, the state of West Virginia donated the plot of land where the Teapot sits today, and a festival association poured a concrete pad for the Teapot to sit on. As part of the renovation, the concession windows were sealed shut, the wood framing was replaced, the tin siding was replaced with more durable vinyl siding, a new spout and knob were installed, and the entire Teapot was repainted to the red and white colors it had after the 1938 renovation. All that info is on this outdoor corkboard. The second renovation was done in 2015, and to make sure that a steady stream of funds would be available for overall upkeep of the land, painting the Teapot, and other future renovations, the city of Chester began a new annual festival called the Teapot Day, which looks like it takes place on the second Saturday in August. To be honest, I think the Teapot near College Station, Texas is just a little bit bigger, but this one definitely has more character. Closer to the downtown area in Chester is another roadside attraction. Well, actually, this is more of an homage to those that gave their lives up for our freedom. But if you see what I'm walking toward on the left, this memorial is very impressive. This is Veterans Memorial Park, with a memorial donated by the VFW Post 6450. The centerpiece of this memorial is this miniature of a B-52 bomber jet. This replica is 1/8 the size of an actual B-52. There's also a very nice black granite wall below the B-52, which has etchings of pictures from significant military events in American history. There are also many pictures of troops in various military vehicles that have become more advanced over time. If your travels take you to Chester and you're here to see the world's largest Teapot, this memorial is just minutes away, and it's definitely worth a few minutes just to check out the jet and this memorial wall. Looks like people have purchased bricks for this memorial park as well, and there's also a gazebo. Between the gazebo and the miniature of the B-52 jet, there are the American flag and the flags of 5 of the 6 branches of the military. No flag for the Space Force at this time. Just south of the small town of New Cumberland, there's a house on the main thoroughfare through town with a bunch of sculptures made out of metal scraps. Some of these sculptures look really neat, so I stopped to take a quick look. The owner of the home is making some more metal sculptures. He was a little surprised that we were here to see his sculptures, and we told him this place is listed on roadsideamerica.com as a roadside attraction to visit. I guess someone saw this, thought it was something awesome to see, and then they posted it on the Roadside America. These metal sculptures aren't just in his front lawn, he also has some placed across the street. Maybe he has that land also, which borders the Ohio River. According to Roadside America, these sculptures have changed since the post was added to their site in 2018. I think this metal art is for sale. I think this creature, which looks a lot like the Loch Ness Monster or some type of dragon or sea monster, is permanent. It looks like he made a minion out of a compressor tank. There are many metal flowers, and there's also this large SpongeBob SquarePants sculpture. Also, it appears the house is for sale, so I wonder what will happen to these sculptures once the owner leaves the house. Trying to obscure the owner behind the SpongeBob, he has a lot of metal sculptures in front of his house. I think one of them is a Mothman sculpture. Down here is what looks like a rattlesnake, and behind SpongeBob is what looks like a Sasquatch. Also, there's another for sale sign, so maybe what's for sale are the sculptures and not the house. I don't know who the sculptor is, but he did a great job on everything he's created. I love the metal guy driving the motorcycle. If you like this kind of art, I would definitely recommend stopping for 10 or 15 minutes and checking out the metal sculptures. He also has simpler works of art such as butterflies and flowers. Alright, time to continue southbound through West Virginia. This winding 2-lane road looks like a typical country road in Georgia or the Carolinas. Check this out, I'm continuing south on this road and it looks like I'm driving right through an industrial park. There's all sorts of metal framing and piping around this bridge. I'm not sure what this all is. If there's a power plant nearby, or steel mining, or some other industrial activity. There are lots of factories and power plants along the Ohio River. Whatever this is, it goes on for a long way. Here's something I love to see in Georgia. I'm out of Sheets, not far from Wheeling. I need some gas, and the current price is $3.43 a gallon. So the price of gas is going down the further south I go. I'm gonna run inside and get a bag of their ground coffee and take that home with me. And here's somewhere I haven't been in a while, at Tim Hortons. I'm gonna get myself a refreshing cold caffeinated beverage and some Timbits, which are donut holes. So here's what I got. I have a box of 10 assorted Timbits. Take a look inside the box. And I also got this caramel macchiato. I'm hoping this is good as the other Tim Hortons in the Northeast in Canada. Unfortunately, I have to say, in front of the statue of St. John Paul II, that my prayers for a good tasting coffee were not answered. But that's okay. You can't win them all. But the Timbits were good as I remember from Canada. I'm at the Generations Restaurant and Pub, which is right off the National Highway, and they must be devout Catholics since they placed the statue that says St. John Paul II the Great. The Duplaga family owns this establishment, and they must be appreciative of the saint's contributions to Catholicism and world events during his time as Pope. Now about half a mile or so past the restaurant along the National Highway, I'm also going uphill as well. This is another restaurant which is appropriately known as the Windmill. This is a classic edifice along this thoroughfare. The building was constructed in 1929 and was originally a gas station. The Sterling Oil Company wanted a distinctive gas station that looked like an authentic Dutch windmill, but with lights so that it could look, quote, stunning after night. This is one of a series of novelty gas stations built across the country that not only sold gasoline, but also souvenirs and other trinkets. Today this is a sports pub with various arcade games and electronic dartboards. Hey friends, I think the windmill is electric powered only and not wind powered anymore. According to Google, the Windmill restaurant is open Wednesday through Saturday from 5:30 to 11 p.m. Alright, let's check out some more of Wheeling. Now I'm at Wheeling Island. Across the Ohio River is the city of Wheeling. Wheeling is the 5th largest city in West Virginia, which I'll visit after I cross the suspension bridge. This bridge was built in the late 1850s, making it older than the state of West Virginia. This bridge was constructed in 1849, and at that time it was the longest suspension bridge in the world. The bridge was nearly destroyed in 1854 and was rebuilt in just 3 months, despite all sorts of lawsuits that made it to the Supreme Court twice. The bridge is part of the National Road, which went from Cumberland, Maryland to Vandalia, Illinois. That was the first instance of a well-constructed and well-maintained highway that carried travelers across multiple states. The bridge has been closed to vehicular traffic for several years now, but the sidewalks are still open for pedestrians and bicyclists to cross. I can't believe this bridge has been in service for nearly 175 years. This bridge is now a National Historic Landmark. Over there is Interstate 70 on a much newer bridge. It only carries 4 lanes of traffic though, so it's a little narrow. I'm trying to get to the side of the bridge to get a nice view of the river. This bridge still has the metal decking. I'm approaching the center of the bridge, where I can get the best shot of the Ohio River, unobstructed by the suspension cables.
And then, this happened.
This video clip somehow got intermingled with the video clips from later stops, including the Mothman, a random hotel, and the grave of the weeping woman. A total of 100 video clips from this bridge all the way to the Mothman statue look just like this.
I don't know when the videos got corrupted, but my GoPro camera started having some errors when I took the video on the middle of the bridge. Then when I got to the Mothman, the camera was malfunctioning and couldn't take video properly. So all those video clips were gone. I did recreate some video at the Mothman with a different memory card, but the camera started to malfunction again. So I did 3 things. 1. I reshot the Point Pleasant area with my phone. The video came out a little soft, dark, and jiggly, but it's okay. 2. I shot video of places south of Point Pleasant with my Sony ZV-1 camera, which looks better. And 3. Returning to Wheeling 4 weeks later, reshot the video of the suspension bridge in the Classic Theater. As for the Parkersburg location where I filmed the Muffler Man and the grave of the weeping woman, they are gone. I will talk through a couple of still photographs.
So let's resume this video with the reshot video of the bridge and the Classic Theater I got when I returned to Wheeling 4 weeks later. What's interesting is, for both my visits here, the cloud cover is pretty much the same, but on my second visit, the temperature was about 10 degrees cooler than the first visit. After I got home, I upgraded the firmware on my GoPro, which I think was the main culprit. My GoPro was fine, but then I added the media mod, and that could mess something up. I also bought the fastest SD card just in case. I haven't had any issues since then, thank goodness. I think this was the point in the video where the camera was crapping out last time. You see, there's only enough room for a couple of pedestrians and you're supposed to walk your bicycle across, but there are still people that ride their bike across, which is pretty rude if you ask me. Anyway, so now I'm at the midpoint of the bridge, so let's see the great view of the river. There is Wheeling Island to my right. Now continuing to walk toward downtown Wheeling, but first let's see the newer Interstate 70 bridge. The bridge only carries 4 lanes because the east end of the bridge leads into a tunnel. Now on the other side of the bridge is only about 2/10 of a mile and nearly flat, so it's not a bad walk across. It's pretty neat walking across one of the oldest bridges still standing in the entire country. Here's a marker that shows why and how this bridge was built. According to this, the need for a bridge was first discussed in 1816 when the national road was close to reaching the city of Wheeling. It took over 30 years for the construction of the bridge to begin. To the left is the design of the first suspension bridge. The first bridge was severely damaged by high winds, but the bridge was rebuilt in just 3 months. This bridge is a historic landmark and is considered one of the finest examples of pre-Civil War engineering. And here's a placard on the bridge itself noting the Wheeling Suspension Bridge is designated a National Historic Landmark. Take a look at these cables that run to the top of the bridge, and then they are somehow anchored below ground. I guess below this intersecting road in front of me. The cables look like they have a fresh coat of white paint on them. Here's another marker stating this bridge was one of the first long-span wire cable suspension bridges in the United States, and at the time the bridge was completed, it was the longest span bridge in the world. This notes the first bridge and the current bridge use the same towers on each end of the bridge. Next to the bridge is the historic Capitol Theater. The setup was opened on Thanksgiving Day in 1928 and cost $1 million to build. It is the largest theater in the state of West Virginia. On opening day, there were 4 shows, and the admission price was a whopping 60 cents. The air was scented with expensive perfume, and a total of 15,000 people attended those showings. Aside from a closure in the late 2000s, the theater is still open today. Musicals, plays, concerts, and other live performances are shown here. Now time to walk back across the suspension bridge. Take a look at the white cables coming from the bridge at the intersection. But first I found another vantage point to see the bridge. It looks like there is cabling from many points of the bridge, I guess to stabilize it. This bridge has been under the latest renovation since 2019, but it's highly likely the bridge will never reopen to vehicular traffic. According to the West Virginia Department of Transportation, the long delays are blamed on supply chain issues, and they said the reopening date could be as late as the end of 2024. Here's another placard that states this is the Old Trail Road, designated by the Daughters of the American Revolution in 1921. The recent people are skeptical that this bridge will reopen to vehicles as the city unsuccessfully tried to enforce a weight limit. People have witnessed heavy vehicles crossing the bridge, and the bridge noticeably sagged. I've seen bridges that are much younger than this one that were converted to pedestrian only. There are 2 nearby crossings over this river. One is Interstate 70 that you just saw. The second one is Interstate 470 and is about a mile south of here. I think there are only a few bridges older than this one in the United States. If you want to check that out, there is some parking on both sides of the bridge, but I found it easier to park on the Wheeling Island side. You can see on this side of the bridge, the cables are strung in many different directions to stabilize this old bridge. Maybe it will be here in 25 years to celebrate its bicentennial. I'm very glad the second set of videos from the bridge made it back home successfully. I wasn't gonna head back a third time. Now getting on Interstate 70 on the new bridge across the Ohio River, and then this road goes immediately into a tunnel. Wow, I-70 squeezes into just one eastbound lane. Do you hold your breath when going through tunnels? Give it a try. My next stop is at Parkersburg, and I'm at the Cherokee Village Title and Licensing Center, and in front of that is a Native American brave muffler man. You've probably seen other varieties of this muffler man, with the headdress and the astro storm showing a greeting of friendship. On the way in Riverview Cemetery is the grave of the weeping woman. This monument overlooks the other Jackson family plots behind her. Legend has it if you are pure of heart and give her a token, as others have done, she can grant wishes. However, if you don't provide the proper respect, her spirit may cause you to trip or may pull your hair. About an hour south is the city of Point Pleasant. This town had a very interesting visitor back in the 1960s, which they now celebrate by constructing this human insect metal statue thing. I don't think my fly swatter will be enough to ward off this creature. Say hello and pledge obedience to the Mothman. The statue was unveiled in 2003 and based on supposed eyewitnesses' accounts of people that saw the Mothman. The wings on this Mothman are 13 feet tall, and he has large red glowing eyes which are the size of footballs. He also has fangs, a braided mullet, well-defined abs, and a very firm butt. Yep, that's right, I said it. Mothman has a very firm butt. The citizens of Point Pleasant initially didn't want the Mothman statue, much less in the heart of downtown, but people like myself have come from great distances to get a photo or video of the Mothman, and possibly to see his butt. He's also got a very hairy chest. The sculptor Bob Ridge apparently captured every detail from those eyewitness accounts. Here's a placard on the pedestal. It says November 1966, two young couples drove to the TNT area of Point Pleasant and had a close encounter with a very large human insect monster. From then on, the Mothman legacy had begun. It looks like there are paintings along the dike walls. Point Pleasant also has a very nice riverfront area, so I'm gonna check that out. It's beautiful back here. Look at the Ohio River. Much more picturesque than it was north of here, with all the heavy industry. I filmed the rest of the Point Pleasant videos on my phone, so the quality is not so great, and kind of looks a little distorted, so I apologize for that. The pictures along the floodwall are from what it looked like during the time this area was settled. There are also numerous statues of local historical figures. Notice they're the same metallic material as the Mothman. That's because the same sculptor made these. Over here is a statue of Lord Dunmore, who was the last royal governor of Virginia and early and mid-1770s before the Declaration of Independence. About a block away is a road that led to the Silver Bridge, which connected the city and Canoga, Ohio. This bridge collapsed on December 15, 1967, during rush hour. 31 vehicles plunged into the river, killing 46 people and injuring 9 others. Then here's another marker noting the Silver Bridge collapse. The official cause was a failure in one of the suspension chains, but they think something else caused the collapse. On the floor wall is a representation of what the Silver Bridge looked like as it crossed the Ohio River. The Silver Bridge got its popular name due to the aluminum paint used on the bridge. The bridge was built in 1928. There's a replacement bridge called the Silver Memorial Bridge that was constructed about a mile south of here. That span opened in 1969. So people have linked the original Silver Bridge collapse to the Mothman. Some locals at the time said they saw a Mothman either on top of or flying over the bridge, and moments later the bridge collapsed. Those locals believed the Mothman was either giving a warning that the bridge was about to collapse or caused the collapse somehow. The last thing I want to point out before leaving this town is the patriotic Mothman mural. Instead of a bald eagle, is the Mothman clutching the American flag. The ribbon says Point Pleasant, history meets mystery. Alright, moving on. My next stop takes me to the town of Nitro, maybe a mile or so north of Interstate 64. There's something at this home and garden store, and I see lots of firewood for sale, getting ready for the winter. I'm here to see a familiar roadside attraction. It's the familiar duo of Paul Bunyan and Babe, the Blue Ox. There are many instances of this duo, but it's only the second duo I've seen since the first one, which was about 13 years ago. Paul Bunyan and Babe were the very first roadside attractions I saw all those years ago in Bemidji, Minnesota. That might have started the spark to see others, such as muffler men, pink elephants, and other strange and weird things seen along the side of the road. So it's a little nostalgic in a way to see another Paul Bunyan and Babe. Maybe I'll run into the duo in the future. I have just a little bit of time left before the sun goes down. So let's head a little west of here to see my final roadside attraction of the day. And the last roadside attraction is in Barboursville at the Benefit Design Services. I'll unzoom to get a wider view, and you see to the left of the building by the side of the road is a pink elephant. This adorable pink elephant is not as big as some of the other pink elephants I've seen across the country, but some of it has been here since 1970. The elephant's name is appropriately called Pinky. The subset of the elephant was created right here in Barboursville for a young girl named Nikki, but that's an unproven legend. According to Roadside America, the elephant is actually created in Michigan, and it was moved to Barboursville in 1970 and was placed in front of what was Taylor's Furniture and Gifts. But that building is used by the Benefit Design Services today, an insurance company, and its title and tag office. The owner of the furniture and gift store bought the elephant, hoping it would lure people from a busy thoroughfare to take his photo and then stick around to buy something. The strategy worked. I've heard that story from other businesses with a pink elephant in front of their stores. Sam gambled to buy the ceramic statue that brings in business. This pink elephant also has a Facebook and Twitter account. And this elephant definitely has a following in this part of West Virginia. I don't know how many pink elephants I've seen across the United States, but I think this one is the cutest.
And that's it. I'd say this was a great trip, but it was definitely stressful with the camera issues. And actually it was 2 trips since I returned to Wheeling to film the video clips that I lost. Will I return to the other locations in West Virginia where I lost video? Someday, probably. But I have more adventures to see elsewhere, so check them out next time. Thanks for watching, bye!